Hello everyone. So in today's film I'm going to be creating a really simple look, and it's going to be a look that will involve one or two tones and one or two colours. But I want to create a look that is quite simple and quite glamorous and is only in the use of one or two colours. I am just back from a most refreshing vacation. I had a lovely time. Of course, if you are somebody like me who is your own boss, you are never really off work, but it was definitely nice to get out of London for a few days, and I definitely think I shall be enjoying fresher air elsewhere more often. And I am filming for the very first time in my new soundproofed studio. I'm very excited about it. It's also fantastic to be able to film after 10:30 in the evening. I do not like to be awake during the day. It's also nice to be in my studio this late and not have to go to the sarcophagus. I do tend to find the daytime such a glare, but at 10:30 at night, I don't know how or why, I just come alive and I'm ready to go and I'm all excited. My body clock is a little bit all over the place, but I guess it's old age. I do prefer to get up when the sun is going down and rest when the sun is coming up. The sun and I don't really see eye to eye. I mean, I did try to be on good terms, but that horrible thing tried to blind me. This is also a greatly significant period for me. For this time last year, roughly around June, I began block filming to schedule in weekly uploads, and I began uploading weekly uploads. I of course had many films on my channel previously, but they had been scattered throughout the years. But I began uploading weekly on the 6th of July 2017, and I have been uploading weekly since then. My life, of course, thanks to all of you, has changed dramatically within the last year. I very much recall saying to my friends when I began weekly uploads, I have 27,000 subscribers right now. Wouldn't it be wonderful if I could get to 100,000 subscribers by this time next year? And a year on, I have over 200,000 subscribers. I find it absolutely incredible that over 200,000 people have committed themselves to my work and, of course, myself. I'm very grateful to see that so many people all around the world consider what I produce valuable. My life, of course, has changed dramatically. The amount of opportunities that have opened up for me, the amount of things that I'm doing, the amount of things that I'm working on, it's all very exciting. A little daunting, but all very exciting. One's lifestyle also changes as there's always somebody who approaches me and recognises me from my work. So last year, the very first film for which that I created to launch the weekly uploads, the very first film was about purple eyeshadow. It was a very dramatic purple eyeshadow look. And part of the reason that I chose a purple eyeshadow look is because it was in 2017. And 7 is a number I've always associated with the colour purple. You know, I'm a very visual person. When I see or when I speak or when I hear everything, I see everything. I see 10 million things all at one time. I see everything. My mind is very visual and my imagination has no limitation. But ever since I was a child, I've always associated numbers and colours together. The number 7 I've always associated with purple. So I created a purple look as I considered 2017 a purple year. Of course, the 7 in 17. Now with 2018, 8 is a number I've always associated with the colour green. It can be a green in many contexts, but typically a slightly darker green, slightly forest green. That is always what I have associated number 8 with. Colours are a very powerful thing. They have many associations. We can associate many different things with one particular colour. For example, red is a colour that we associate with passion, but also a colour that we associate with violence. Colours are very complex and very ambiguous, and they are part of creation, and indeed a wonderful thing to experience. The number 8 is a number of good luck or of prosperity, and it is definitely a number that I associate with prosperity, and of course green is a colour that I associate with prosperity. I associate it with money. The dollar, of course, is green. Green can often represent life and growth. It can also represent illness and death. So green is a colour that is very ambiguous, but for the greatest part it is something I associate with life, nature and prosperity. In today's film, I wanted to create a look that was really easy, yet super glamorous and impactful. Something that you could wear to work, something you could wear to an evening engagement, or just an all-rounded polished look with a little bit of green. And I know green can be a slightly awkward colour to wear, but I think absolutely everyone can carry off green. If it's the right green, if it's the right tone of green, and of course the opacity. Some people might suit a solid lime green, some people might also suit a neon green, whereas someone else might suit a very earthy sheer tone of green across the eyelids. Now the look I'm going to be creating I think can be worn by absolutely everyone, of any age group and of any skin tone. You simply adjust it necessarily. So if you are somebody of the very fairest of skin tones, like my own, you will definitely find that the colour swatch that I'm going to use will flatter your skin tone. Where if you are somebody with a deeper skin tone, I would say you could probably use some of these tones as well, but you can adjust it to flatter your own self best. Now I've already gone in and applied foundation, concealer and eyebrows. Today I went in with a go-to moisturiser of mine, which is the Embryolisse La Creme Concentrate, followed by Kat Von D's Lock-It Foundation in the shade Light 41 Neutral. For greater coverage in the central parts of the face as well as under eye colour correction, I went in with some of MAC Cosmetics Full Coverage Foundation in the shade W10. I set all of that through with some of Kryolan's Loose Transparent Powder in the shade TL3. For eyebrows, I stenciled out a shape with some of Kryolan's Dermacolor Cream Concealer in the shade D40, and then I went in and feathered in some hairs and built up definition throughout the brows using the shade Pum Pum from the Louise Young eyeshadow palette. Now the main focus of the look for which that I'm going to be creating is Inglot's powder eyeshadow in the shade 433, which is this absolutely beautiful goldeny green colour right here. Now there are many different types of green, but I definitely find that the very olivey, very goldeny greens actually suit my eye colour the best. But before I go in with it, I'm going to be taking some of MAC Cosmetics powder eyeshadow in the shade Omega just to create a socket, and I will be using it as our transition colour and winging it up and out just ever so slightly to give the eye and the look additional structure. And I'm applying that first of all on a Kit Stars N31 tapered blender brush. Now this brush is very similar to the Sova 228 brush, slightly denser, and I'm just taking a tiny bit of product first of all to create a really seamless eye look, or to ensure seamlessness within your makeup. You really just have to build up in soft slight layers first of all. Just going to apply a little bit more of that to the socket and pull it up and outwards just ever so slightly, just sort of stippling that on. But not much of it. Once you've applied most of the product and it has been distributed into the socket, you can then start to pull the brush out with the remainder of the product on it. Not much of it though. And one most indeed very marvellous way of ensuring greater colour intensity is to take a great amount of the product on the brush on just one side and place it into the socket. And you will see once I've placed it on, we do get greater colour intensity, but because of the amount of product we've applied, it looks slightly crude. Then what you do is just begin to buff it. Just very softly moving it inward into the eye. So we're just moving it round, following the socket bone, just swirling around and buffing, and then starting to wing it out just ever so slightly. Always remembering never to pull it down too far. Unless of course that's the look that you're going for. But pretend that you have a triangle. You can even use your brush as a guide. So if I look at you straight, we want to keep everything inside of that, which will really elongate and pull out the eye. And then you can just take the brush again and pack on the colour, but this time onto the actual outer part of the eyelid. So we're almost connecting what we've applied in our socket with what we're doing on the actual eyelid and the upper lash line, just at the outer corner. So both eyes are now sculpted. I'm just going to go in with a clean MAC 217 and just buff around, just to ensure that everything is seamless. I actually have nightmares about not being seamless. I can just wash over everything. Now I'm taking that Omega colour to the lower part of the eye, using a Kit Stars N33 micro pencil brush. One shall confess to be slightly displaced, not using a Charles Fox 8146-031 brush, but this Kit Stars N33 micro pencil brush, it's slightly more pointed than the Charles Fox 8146-031 brush. So I'm able to be a little bit more precise with it. Then going back in with our 217 just to ensure seamlessness. Now that is just one colour just used to give the eye sculpture and definition. I would wear it just like that with a little bit of mascara. Now I'm going to go in with our green shade. Again, I shall be applying this shade right here, which is Inglot's powder eyeshadow in the shade 433, and I shall be applying that on a Charles Fox 8146405 brush. But before I apply it, I'm going to wet the brush with some of MAC Cosmetics Fix Plus. And then just apply it to the eyelid. And what this does, it just gives us greater colour intensity. As you can see, if I just turn slightly, the shimmer in the eyeshadow is really concentrated, and applying shimmer tones slightly wet. And the reason that I wet the brush before applying the colour is that very often with metallic eyeshadows, you do tend to get more of an immediate colour payoff and colour effect when you employ the use of moisture, and they do tend to grab to the eyelid surface a lot better. Now I have applied it all over the eyelid from the inner corner all the way to the outer corner and right up to the socket. And I really packed it on. Now I'm going to be going in and blending the edges off it just to soften it with a clean MAC 217. You might have to be a little bit vigorous when blending, as we did apply it wet. And I'm just slowly buffing the edges. This actually reminds me of a look that I created several years ago, actually a very long time ago, where I applied an olive tone eyeshadow very similar to this colour, and I applied it wet using just water. I'm just going back in with my N3 wand just to make sure that everything is seamless. And with the same 217 brush that I used to soften the edges, I'm just going to pack on a little bit more of the colour and just sweep it outward slightly. And I quite like to sweep the metallic or the silver tone out slightly, just so that it's not so stiff. You know, where you have the harsh difference between a metallic then a matte, or the transition colour and the socket. I sometimes like it to be all very seamless. And I also think it can look really, really chic. And I'm just going to add a very faint amount of the 433 colour to the underneath. Not necessarily for visibility, but to ensure that the hue on the underneath of the eye is consistent with the eyeshadow on the eyelid. And on top of that green, I'm just going to add a slight twist of something else. And I'm going to be going in with NARS Cosmetics Dual Intensity Powder Eyeshadow in the shade Pacific. I was slightly hesitant to articulate the name of this in fear I may deviate from the highest degree of accuracy. But it is this absolutely beautiful, slightly duochrome metallic green colour. A slightly truer green than the Inglot 433. And what I'm going to do with this is just take it on my finger and dab it on the eyelid. And just soften the edges of that. I'm taking a little bit of that underneath, but focusing it more in the centre, just to intensify. And then just buffing the edges of it with a MAC 217. Now to highlight the inner corner, I'm going to be going in with some of Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector Pressed in the shade Pearl. And I'm just applying that with a Kit Stars S30 tapered blender, just to add a little bit of light. With the eyeshadow more or less complete, I'm now going to go in and curl my eyelashes using some of Inglot's eyelash curlers. For mascara, I'm going to be taking some of the Balm's What's Your Type and apply a good liberal amount of it. So I've applied mascara to the upper lashes. I'm not going to apply anything to the lower lashes today, as I want to keep the look really light and fresh, as it's quite strong as it is now. So moving on to contour, today I'm going to be using a faithful product of mine, which is Kryolan's powder eyeshadow in the shade Sahara, and it is quite a warm toned eyeshadow, and certainly as a contour it looks very warm on me. I do tend to find that it translates on camera to be a little bit more cool, however in person it's very warm, but I employ it for that very purpose. And I'm just applying it on a Stilazzi blush brush. I'm just applying it very lightly, barely touching the skin. I'm just building it up quite slowly. For blusher, I'm going to be taking some of Illamasqua's powder blusher in the shade Lover, which is this absolutely beautiful pastel orange colour. And I'm applying it with the same brush. I apply blusher exactly where I want the hue of colour to be. So I apply it quite high. Now it's quite severe, this Lover colour. Lovers do tend to be quite severe. So I'm just going to mute it down with a little bit of powder foundation. And I'm using some of MAC Cosmetics Studio Fix powder foundation in the shade NW10. Just to soften that blusher. And to highlight, I'm going to be going back in with a Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector Pressed in the shade Pearl. And I'm applying it on an Inglot 4SS brush. I don't usually use brushes that are quite specific for applying highlighter. I do kind of apply it everywhere. And I do tend to find that highlighter can actually be very, very useful when counteracting very, very strong blusher. as it just ties everything together very nicely. Applying a little bit of that underneath the brow, tiny little bit of it on the chin. I always like to apply a little bit of it into the hollow of the throat, slightly on the throat, a little bit of it across the décolletage, slight amount of it across the collarbones, tiny bit of it to the bridge of the nose, a little bit on the brow ridge, just to lift that area, so I don't look so Neanderthal, and a very faint amount of it through the forehead. Now for lips, I actually really like the way my natural lip colour is looking. I just want to correct the asymmetry within my lips and then maybe add a slightly pink lip balm. I don't want to go for something that's a strong lipstick. I want to keep my natural lip colour as much as possible. To correct any asymmetry within the lips, I'm going to be taking some of MAC Cosmetics lip pencil in the shade Boldly Bare. With the lips now lined, I'm now going to go in and apply a Revlon ColorBurst lip butter in the shade 050 Berry Smoothie. Now I can't tell you how long I've actually had this, I just found it the other day. It's probably as old as the hills. Now it's very, very glossy, this lipstick, but I don't necessarily want to apply a lip gloss. I'm not such a great fan of lip gloss on me personally, but this definitely creates the effect and the texture of lip gloss. And I wanted the lips to remain a relatively similar colour to my own natural lips, but slightly more pinky and very glossy, of course. So that more or less completes the look. It's actually an incredibly simple look to do. It only involves a few colours, 1 or 2, in this case 3, and then the rest of the face is left relatively soft, but the colours used are quite bright, and they're used softly. So the overall look ends up looking quite summery and quite fresh. I have thoroughly enjoyed creating this look for you here today, and I hope that you have found today's film to be either interesting, useful, helpful, or beneficial. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and of course, take care. Bye!